This week in East Brunswick, Mayor Fox gave his State of the Township report at Monday's council meeting.
This is my 7th annual report on the condition of the Township of East Brunswick as required by our ordinances. What I will do tonight is highlight some of the achievements of the past year and address several areas of particular concern to me and, I believe, also our residents. When I took office nearly 8 years ago, I established as my goal nothing less than making the government of East Brunswick the best local government in our state. Translated into real terms, this means providing the best possible services at the lowest possible cost, commensurate with our residents' desire for service and ability to pay for them. Turned into programs, this means a highly productive professional staff, dedicated municipal employees, sound management, and careful planning. The results of these efforts become visible in several ways. In services to our residents, of course, but services which have steadily improved while at the same time the municipal tax rate has remained stable, and also in recognition that East Brunswick is a source of information and ideas for other municipalities in our state. During 1981, there were over 50 visits, requests, and inquiries concerning programs, policies, and procedures instituted by our local government. In financial management, our cost accounting system, budgeting and accounting systems, inventory system, tax collection system, and investment procedures have been recognized by other government agencies. In the municipal court, the retention system for trial records, various forms, and the shoplifter program, Never Again, have been recognized. In the clerk's office, the township clerk's office, the consent agenda, the clerk's office procedure book, forms used for ordinances and resolutions, and the in-house codification have been recognized and emulated by other governments. In data processing, 6 other governmental agencies are paying to use computer programs developed for the library, police, budgeting, water billing, tax record keeping, dog licensing, and inventory control. The Parks Ranger Program, Recreation and Parks Fee Policy and Schedule, the Recreation Grants and Contracts Program, and the Daisy Therapeutic Recreation Program have been the focus of other municipalities. In administration, the Protected Self-Insurance Program, the Administrative Procedures Manual, policy on archiving documents, purchasing procedures, and our job descriptions have been copied or studied by other municipalities. Now, I've said many times, and I'll say again tonight, that we do not exist simply to afford outside recognition for our professional staff. We do exist to provide service to our residents. But to the degree that other municipal governments observe the way in which East Brunswick has dealt with the same problems which they are facing, and determine that our solution or approach is worth adopting or examining for ideas, that is a strong endorsement of the fact that our management is sound, and our residents receive the benefit first. Much to my amazement, there are those in our community who are critical of being good at government. They ask, why do we have to be the best at everything we do? I suppose that somehow there is the inference that being the best costs more. But I believe that there is nothing more expensive than being less than the best in the management of township affairs. The ability to maintain a stable tax rate over the past 4 years is proof positive of the wisdom of sound management. To these critics, I say, why not the best? And I pledge to encourage our employees from top to bottom to use all of the creative energies they can muster in doing a better job of serving the people of East Brunswick. For the past several years, the economic development and health of East Brunswick has been a major priority. Our efforts have focused in 3 areas: improving relations with the business community, maintaining the vitality of existing businesses and business areas, especially Route 18, and attracting new businesses to East Brunswick. I'm happy to report that there has been progress on all fronts during 1981. There was significant interaction with the East Brunswick Regional Chamber of Commerce through several means. First, there was a monthly meeting of the Township Chamber Liaison Committee composed of several chamber members and township staff. This committee meets regularly to discuss matters of mutual concern or misunderstanding. It is primarily a communications vehicle which provides a forum for factual discussion of issues before the Township or the Chamber, such as the administration of the false alarm ordinance, water rates, the Township budget, Chamber promotional events, or the Memorial Day Parade. It is clear that this effort has improved communication and eliminated much misunderstanding. Secondly, all local legislation which has an impact on business is referred to the Chamber for comment prior to action. There is sometimes not agreement of positions between the Township and the Chamber on pending legislation, but there is always a healthy dialogue. In a number of cases, review by the Chamber has resulted in modifications which have preserved the intent of a proposed ordinance, but which have prevented unforeseen negative impacts on the business community. These activities are designed to make it clear that we in East Brunswick recognize the important role of business in our town, both in providing conveniences in shopping and in their economic contribution through taxes and jobs. The Council on Economic Health, created in 1977 and composed of prominent business people who reside in East Brunswick, has been actively pursuing the implementation of the Economic Health Amendment to the Comprehensive Master Plan. Part of this effort was a presentation of the economic plan to the general membership of the Regional Chamber. An additional part was the creation of a staff position to provide liaison to individual business people to assist them in dealing with various government agencies and to act in an ombudsman's role to help them deal with the Township of East Brunswick. Moreover, the Economic Health Council itself has taken an active role in attracting new businesses to East Brunswick. These efforts are paying off in increases in our non-residential tax base. In 1981, despite significant slowing of the national economy, our local tax base had a real growth of over $11 million in new or improved property. I must say, however, that the rate of new home construction in East Brunswick has been disappointing over the past year or so. What it means in long-term patterns is difficult to tell. Of course, part of it is the result of national economic policies, but there is also the possibility that it is an early indication of a permanent change in our growth pattern. I've asked the Department of Planning and Community Development to undertake a study of this situation in order to understand it better. A sign in a local convenience store, which I frequent sometimes, says, quote, "In East Brunswick, the shortest distance between 2 points is under construction." And it certainly seems that way. However, the construction which we observe around us should result in much improved traffic movement and drainage. After many years of planning and lobbying Middlesex County, the county has underway several major projects in East Brunswick, which are the source of most of the construction. They've just completed Summerhill Road, which, as some of you may recall, was initially discussed well over 10 years ago. Cranberry Road by the high school should be completed soon, and the perennial problem of Ruse Lane flooding in the vicinity of the Civic Center Shopping Center will be corrected by the Islands Brook Drainage Project, which is underway near Ruse Lane and Cranberry Road. Local capital improvements during 1981, however, were limited to the annual road resurfacing, sidewalk, and drainage programs, plus some miscellaneous improvements to public property. All part of the long-range capital planning which has been done. I am concerned, however, by the perception that capital indebtedness makes up a major portion of the tax bill in East Brunswick. I will not reiterate the detailed capital needs planning which forms the basis of our debt policy, but I will say a couple of things about it. First, debt service is less than 10% of the amount raised through taxes for municipal purposes. Secondly, our capital expenditures are planned in the context of debt retirement. That is, we have an orderly retirement schedule which is taken into account when capital planning is done. Indebtedness is not simply increasing, since some of it is retired each year. The effect of all of this is to keep the indebtedness at a reasonable level while meeting the capital needs of the community. I would also point out that the only indebtedness which can be incurred by any government in New Jersey is for capital purposes and not for operating expenses, as is the case with some major cities in the federal government. Water was a major topic of interest in 1981, and I'm sure will continue to be for some time to come. In order to help the administration and council plan for and manage water resources in East Brunswick, the East Brunswick Water Policy Advisory Committee was formed. It has been meeting regularly and reviewing all facets of water supply and distribution. By the end of 1982, we must make a decision on meeting the future water needs of our residents. We have four choices: enter into a regional water supply arrangement, contract with a private purveyor for bulk water supplies, build and operate our own treatment facility for surface water, or renegotiate our contract with the City of New Brunswick. Much of the data we need to make such a determination are unavailable, but I'm sure that this subject will be the topic of much lively debate as the year goes on. Garbage is a current topic of lively debate: where to put it and what to do with it. I will not rehash all of the events of the past few months, but I think it is important to point out two things. Despite all the acrimony which has been generated thus far, some good has resulted. I believe that the new industrial manufacturing zone and ordinance which is emerging from the planning board will be one of the best around, well thought out and encouraging clean industry while protecting our residents. And secondly, I want to say clearly and explicitly that no one should underestimate my determination to protect the environment of East Brunswick. Real problems receive and will receive immediate attention and corrective action. Finally, I would like to reflect for a moment on the style of municipal government in East Brunswick. Style is usually the result of principles and policies, and that is true here also. The most fundamental of these is honesty. Honesty in the context of government does not just mean freedom from criminal corruption, although that is an essential element. It also means freedom from corruption of purpose. Government is not an exercise in cleverness, nor is it a parlor game in which the object is to outwit your opponent. Government is, or should be, an awesome responsibility for those chosen by their fellow citizens to represent them in governance. People have little enough confidence in government without game playing by their elected representatives. Honesty must mean openness with the people in official actions and freedom from manipulation in official deliberations. Our municipal government is as open as it can be. Decisions are made right here in these council meetings and no place else. Each member of the council is free to vote his conscience, or her conscience, independently and free of political or other influence. And so it is with the Planning Board, the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and all of the other official bodies of township government. Openness, of course, has its price. Sometimes votes go against you. Sometimes we take our licks from the public because we debate issues openly and expose the bad side as well as the good. But I know that my dedication to these principles will never waver. I like to feel good about my public service. I was raised to believe that the end never justifies the means. I believe that plotting and scheming with the public interest is never justified, no matter what the cause, be it crassly political or for the most lofty of purposes. And no matter what else is accomplished or not accomplished, doing it openly, free from petty scheming and conniving, is important above all, and I hope that that kind of government will continue in the municipal building of East Brunswick Township. Thank you.